في أكبر الكتب.
Congratulations, you have found the Lambcast, the official podcast of the large association of movie blogs, also known as the Lamb. The Lamb is the largest collective of online movie blogs and podcasts with 2,000 members and counting. Every week on the Lambcast, various members of the Lamb community get together to talk about our favorite subject, movies. So bookmark the Lamb and follow us on social media. Be sure to join us each week to hear a lively discussion of films and movie-related talk from our members. Join the flock at largeassmovieblogs.com. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lambcast. I'm your host, Richard Kirkham from Kirkham A Movie A Day. It's Movie of the Month time on this week's episode. Today, you'll meet a little German, become a little horse, have enough salt to last forever, and you get your own novelty dog poo. Our film is the all-time favorite of Weird Al Yankovic, and if you see it, you'll know why. It's the 1984 comedy Top Secret, the Zucker-Abraham Zucker follow-up to Airplane. I've gathered the resistance here to talk about the movie, so let me introduce them now. We have Cliché, Faux Pas, Baguette, and Crepe Suzette. He may be overused on the Movie of the Month. That's why his code name is Cliché. Matthew Simpson of Awesome Friday Podcast.
I love being here because this show is, how do you say, indispensable?
You say indispensable. Faux pas would be a mistake if he were not also called James Wilson of Blogging by Cinemalite.
Look, Richard, I'm not the first guy who fell in love with a girl he met in a restaurant who turned out to be the daughter of a kidnapped scientist, only to lose her to her childhood lover she'd last seen on a deserted island, who years later is the leader of the French underground.
I know you're not the first because I've done it too. Baguette requires the right kind of flour, hence Bubbawheat fills the order.
Oh, I thought I was going to be deja vu.
Again?
And finally, with a voice like butter and a tangy orange zest, the Crepe Suzette of our podcast, the champion of today's movie, and therefore the host, Jeanette Ward.
My man.
Folks, this is a movie that is fun to watch. We'll see how much fun it is to talk about, because I think there's going to be a lot of just laughing about things that we've seen in the movie. But I don't have to worry about that. Jeanette's in charge. Jeanette, take it away. It's your discussion.
Well, that hardly seems fair. Yeah, as I was saying briefly before we started recording, I had every intention of having like a deep dive of really in-depth information about Zaz, about their movies, about their production, about who did what at what level. And then it occurred to me, really, this type of movie is best just casually chatting about it. So because it's one of those movies that is endlessly quotable, really entertaining to watch, and I found every time I watch it, I pick up something new, and I think that's a trademark of Zaz movies. But I can't, just to very quickly start off the top. Yeah, there's a synopsis. Do we need it? I mean, an American rock and roll singer is invited to a cultural festival in East Germany. Basically, they bring him in to distract from their plot to destroy a bunch of NATO submarines. But then he gets involved in the French resistance, the underground, and helps to rescue a scientist who will later go on to be his butler in his Batcave. It's all nonsense, but it's supposed to be nonsense. The Zaz movies, David Zucker, Jim Abrams, and Jerry Zucker, one of the reasons I always loved them is they grew up like 10 minutes from where I live. Shorewood, Wisconsin, they grew up there, went to high school at Shorewood High School, all went to UW-Madison, started their theater group there, and so their first couple of sketch comedy movies is similar to the way Monty Python, like their first movies are really just loosely assembled series of sketches. But then Airplane, I think, is the most notable that they all did together, and then the Police Squad show, Naked Gun, etc. You get movies that are pure Zaz, where all three of them wrote and directed, and then you get Zaz offshoots, which is one of them directed, or some of them wrote and then one directed. Where they're kind of in the orbit of them. And I think for me, like the most notable there is Hot Shots and a couple of those. But within the Zaz orbit, you have like Top Secret, Airplane, the Naked Gun movies, Ruthless People is in there. The scary movies, once they got good, they're tangential. It's funny, right? Because they're like the first couple of air quotes scary movies I didn't care for. And then the third one, I was like, oh, wait, I kind of enjoy this more. Why? Well, because they brought in one of the Zaz guys and it started being a little bit, I don't want to say smarter and funnier, but it just because some of the jokes are just real dumb, but on a high level of dumb, it's hard to explain.
Clever
So
stupidity.
yes, yes. Well-crafted stupidity is the best way to put it. So I want to start the discussion on this with number one, I'm just going to go ahead and outright assume that everyone had seen this previously. If you haven't, let me know. We'll go around. But did you rewatch it for this podcast within the last day, 2 days? And if so, did you see anything new that you had not noticed before? That's kind of where I want to start. Matthew, you're first on my list. Can we start with you? What do you think?
Yes, I rewatched this movie last night for approximately the billionth time. Um, and yes, I did actually notice something new this time. There's a scene when Nick Rivers, when they first get to the potato farm, which I think is a very funny joke that I won't spoil. They first get to the potato farm and they meet the resistance, and there's like a slow pan as they like introduce all the resistance members. And I had never noticed that one of the resistance members is wearing a vest that looks like it's covered in throwing knives, but it's all spoons, and he's holding a ladle instead of like a big Bowie knife.
Oh God,
It
that's
is
right.
it is the dumbest thing ever in the best way possible.
Oh my God. Oh, yes. Excellent answer. Wow. Bubbawheat, what about you? Something new that you noticed, perhaps?
I mean, I've seen this movie before, but it's probably been over 20 years since I've seen it. So it was kind of it felt like a fresh watch to me. There was definitely some bits that I remembered. I definitely remember the cow because I mean that's kind of, it's on the cover art and poster most of the time. But aside from that, and I also remembered, which one was the traitor. But other than that, it was like a lot of a fresh watch. Like I'd forgotten how much music was involved in this, which, reading the synopsis that, it's hard to not think of that. But, I've just kind of thought of the movie in broad strokes and haven't actually like reread the actual synopsis in so long. That's the whole him being a singer was,
Hmm.
I'd forgotten about that.
I mean, the
But
movie is essentially a musical. It is
mhm.
absolutely a spoof of both Elvis movies and World War II movies. But when you look at the list
Exactly.
of songs, this is a legitimate musical, and they did release an album.
Even the little horse sings "It's a Hard Day's Night."
God. James, what about you? Did you notice anything new this time around?
Nothing new. I saw this at, of all places, the Harvard Exit Theater in Seattle, which is an art house theater. I was almost at outhouse theater, art house theater. And they were playing this because the Harvard Exit had a weird sense of humor. And, you know, I think I was maybe one of 10 in the theater. And I was going, God, this is great. Why is this catching on? I haven't seen anything new, but I watch this about every 6 months just because I love it so much.
It is a very, and at a tight little 90 minutes, a quick little serotonin boost. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Richard, anything new this time around that you caught?
The thing that annoys me is that the first thing I noticed wasn't a joke, wasn't something funny. It was something I should have noticed the very first time I saw the film, and it didn't dawn on me until yesterday when I was watching it. The whole car crushing bit, they lifted those scenes right out of Goldfinger. I'm going, wait a second. That's the that's that's Goldfinger's limousine.
Yeah, there's a couple of
Where's frickin' Odd Job? He should be standing right there.
it's always appreciated when you can reuse and recycle
Yes.
in the best
Yes.
possible way. I will say that I rewatched it yesterday and noticed for the first time And it struck me like I've seen this, I can't even count how many times I've seen this, but I feel like a lot of the times that I've seen it have been maybe on TV or where you catch a part of it here and then watch the rest, or you jump into this or watch a clip somewhere. In the very opening sequence, when essentially they're setting up the plot, air quotes, the writer, the soldier who comes up to the base and comes in, which one of the bits that we can get to favorite bits, but taking off the helmet to present the message and the strap stays on his face while he takes his helmet off. That's the level I'm at for this. But the fact that when he pulls up, he lashes his motorcycle to a post as you would a horse.
Oh,
I've never noticed that before. And that's kind of the level that we're at with these Zaz movies, is that you have visual jokes, you have verbal jokes, and then you have over the top in your face dumb jokes. And I feel like my favorite are the visual jokes that are quick in the back and almost so fast that you don't catch them originally.
Like the
this
windshield
reminds
wiper
me.
fluid coming out of the crushed car at one point.
Well, on a related note to the motorcycle, there's a moment later where they're escaping from the Nazis, and they find like a bank of bikes, and before they jump on two bikes, they like shoo the other ones away like a herd of horses.
Yes.
Yes, equally ridiculous. That's yeah, that was my next question. Like we could go through the plot, but there's not much of a point. But coming back to the fact that this is a musical to the level that it did have a soundtrack released, if you have to go through these songs, which are all performed by Val Kilmer,
Yes.
which, his first movie, out of Juilliard, a young actor who can sing. Do you all have a favorite song? If I asked you to pick a favorite song from this illustrious soundtrack, what would it be? We'll go back. Richard, do you have a favorite song?
It would be hard not to pick Skeet Surfin' because that is a brilliant mashup of Beach Boys and Chuck Berry and
Yes.
silliness that is just perfect. And when you combine it with the scene, because Val Kilmer performs all of the other songs on stage, basically, in front of us. But here it's just background music for the opening sequence, the title sequence, which is silly. And so I feel a little bad not picking one where Val's on screen performing it, but I'm going to go with Skeet Surfing because I think it's the one that's the funniest.
Well, and it also provides such a wealth of visual jokes again because
Yes.
it's basically a music video for it.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. All right. James, favorite song?
The East German national anthem.
Which is, of course, set to the Shorewood High School fighting song.
That's what I heard.
Yes.
Yes, I thought that would be very clever.
Hail, hail, East Germany, land of fruit and grape, land where you'll regret if you try to escape. No matter if you tunnel under or take a running jump at the wall, forget it, the guards will kill you if the electrified fence doesn't first.
It's
It
ridiculous.
does not scan,
No.
but it's great.
God, and it's such the visual joke of giant male bodybuilders dressed up in skirts to be the East German
German
women's
Olympic
Olympic
team.
team.
Yeah.
Which, and again, there's a lot of jokes in here that if you showed this to a kid today, they're gonna get a lot of the dumb visual jokes. Things like that were very much of the time. Like at the time in the early 80s, the East Germans were well known for one or two things in the Olympics, and it wasn't performing with great skill.
Yeah, steroids. There you go.
Yeah. Bubbawheat, do you have a favorite song from this soundtrack?
Yeah, I think I'd probably go with the one that he sings on stage and he goes through all the different suicide attempts. That just for the visual gags. I just love that scene.
Yeah, is that the Stay With Me, Stay With Me Tonight?
Spend this night with
Spend
me.
spend this night with me.
Yeah.
The more ballady, dramatic, yeah, that one is great too. Oh man, when they release him from prison so that he can perform his concerts, because at some point he does get arrested in this. Ridiculous. Matthew, your favorite song?
It's so difficult to choose, and everyone's already chosen the ones that I would have said. But I'm going to say Skeet Surfin' as well,
Mhm.
because it is by far the funniest song, I think. But also with the caveat that I also love that when it's showing all his other songs, they're all skeet shooting related.
Yes, on the charts.
On the charts.
Not only on the charts as he climbs up and passes some of his other hits, are they all skeet related? But then I think it's like t Tammy Wynette and someone else has a duet that's also about skeet.
Yeah. Yeah. Every single song is about
It's like my
it's about
Skeeton
skeet
heart.
shooting. Yeah.
Yes, my skeeting heart. I personally I enjoy the How Silly Can You Get song, but I enjoy the ones that could almost be real songs. The How Silly Can You Get is a great one. The
I will
Straighten Up That Rug from the Pizza House song.
I will also say that I really enjoy when he takes a long time to explain how he got to write his first song and how he like had this like tragic backstory, and then the song had just been creeping and crawling around in his head, and it's just a parody of "Are You Lonesome Tonight?"
Yes.
Yeah.
That ends with please shop at Macy's tonight.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Perfect. No
Yes.
notes.
Yeah, it's fantastic. There's a lot of really good. Plus his cover of Tutti Frutti, which again is pretty much him just doing a straight cover of Tutti Frutti, but provides the opportunity for background visual gags, including the band of old white German musicians
Mhm.
rocking out to that Little Richard song in various ways.
I love their choreographed guitar work.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. At this point, we've already kind of talked about Val Kilmer a little bit. Are there any other standouts from the cast? And of course, I have my favorites within the French resistance. But just go, I'll open it up here. Anybody thoughts on the rest of the cast in this movie?
Lucy Gutteridge is really funny in this because she plays it absolutely straight.
Hmm
It's I'm amazed. There's of course Peter Cushing.
Yes.
I love that whole concept.
I would just to jump in would also say I think my favorite like side character is Jeremy Kemp as General Streck, who
Mm.
Yes.
also plays the utter ridiculousness of everything happening completely straight.
Mm,
Uh,
mm.
he's in the same way that like casting Leslie Nielsen and Robert Stack and Peter Graves in Airplane, like he has that same energy of like, yeah, being able to play total ridiculousness with complete professionalism, and I love every second he's on screen.
And he
Absolutely.
always he was always the guy they put in German movies, whether it was World War I or World War II.
I mean, I think the only time I've seen him, I know I've seen him in other stuff, but I think the only time I can fully remember seeing him when he wasn't a German guy was that one episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yes.
So,
He
Oh,
was
that's
Picard's
right.
brother.
yeah, in Family, it's a great episode, but
It is a great
that's another
episode.
podcast.
Yes.
I suppose. Yeah,
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
go
go
ahead.
with Christopher Villers as Nigel,
Mm.
who, you know, for the first 20 minutes I kept saying, when did Tom Hanks get into this movie? Because he looks like Tom Hanks with a blonde fright wig. It's like, what the hell is going on here? And but the longer the movie went on, there's a moment after one of the jokes where the physical humor was so perfect as he's walking along, clenching his rear end
Oh,
after
yeah.
having encountered, you know, uh, the opposite sex of a different breed. I just thought that is the nicest way of making that joke without making the joke.
Without making the joke. Absolutely. And yes, the physical comedy. And again, playing it completely straight. Really, really silly comedy works best when everyone involved is playing it really straight. And I think this movie kind of excels at that. Like I said, the members of the French Revolution, and when they are being introduced, how one side is all random French words as they go down the line, and the other is all random French foods. Chocolate mousse is my favorite because why wouldn't he be? But the introduction of Deja Vu followed by Have we not met somewhere before, monsieur? That really sums up everything you need to know about the comedy of this movie. It is spectacular. And then honestly, my favorite, the running gag of Latrine, who shows up 3 to 4 times in the movie, severely injured, runs into a scene when one of the others, Duquois, has to go, latrine! And he comes in and collapses and gives some sort of piece of information. To the point where the last time he shows up, Duquois is already injured and on the ground. And he goes, latrine, and latrine has to crawl over him
Yep.
in order to then be the injured person on the ground. Which, at this point, brings me to favorite bits. Do you have a favorite bit? Do you have a favorite visual joke? We talked about ones that might have been new to you this time around, but and this is what I'm hoping we devolve into. Let's just talk about the funny parts of this. But going around again, I think it might be helpful because otherwise I think we could just keep jumping in. So I'll start from my top down again. Matthew, favorite bit, second favorite bit. What do you like visually in this movie, joke wise?
So I said before we started recording, I think this film is such a density of visual gags, so I don't know how I'm gonna pick just one. But it has like, and I've seen this and Airplane and The Naked Gun like a bajillion times. And this one has the most best visual gags. And for me, I think the one always comes back to is there's a shot where there's a bunch of Germans in a boardroom in the background, and there's a phone in the foreground. And it looks like a totally normal shot right up until General Streck comes forward and uses the phone, and it's enormous.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
So it's either that one or there's one where they're breaking through a fence and it does that really cliche adventure movie thing where Kilmer is like crawling and he comes right up to a pair of boots and then he does the slow pan up, to what you think is going to be a German soldier, but it's just a pair of boots.
Just a pair
Just
of
a pair of
boots.
boots. Yep. Absolutely fantastic. That whole sequence that also has the where they're walking and you hear the crunching of the leaves and Kilmer turns around and says to them, shh, and then immediately the sound goes away.
Yeah.
Nothing changes. They're
Perfect.
still walking on the leaves.
Yeah.
But
No
Bowie,
notes.
do you have
Perfect.
a favorite visual gag? Or several?
I mean, I think the easy one is the Swedish bookstore, and
Oh
that's
my God,
something
yes.
that I did see posted on social media after Valkamar passed, and so I did kind of get to refresh myself with that, and also they shared it backwards and then reversed, so you hear what they actually say, and my favorites like joke that you can't possibly know because it wasn't in the subtitles, but what they actually say for the book title is traveling Europe on 5 Quaaludes a day.
Oh man, that sequence is I need to see that done in the because the whole scene is shot backwards, which with Peter Cushing. And the fact that they walk in and his eye is huge because he's holding up a magnifying glass and he takes down the magnifying glass and yet his eye is still huge.
It's still huge.
And
That's
then when
mine.
you learn
Yeah.
that they made that prosthetic with a cast of his head, which they then used that cast to recreate him in Rogue One in 2016, is
Yes.
fantastic. But God, that
That
whole sequence, the
that
absolute brilliance of
sequence is online if you want to watch it.
I have a certain rare book, Europe on 5 Quaaludes a day.
I'm sorry, I don't know her. Dr. Paul Flamond.
My father is Dr. Paul Flamond.
May I help you?
Forward air quotes, like it is online. It's very funny forward
I
too.
need to check it out. I love it's so fun watching the reverse bits in it, especially the parts where Kilmer throws the books onto the shelf and then like pops the collar, does it very cool. It's great.
And smiles.
And smiles.
And adjusts
James?
his collar and yeah.
Yeah, all the little bits of business. James, any visual gags you want to?
No, my favorite is still Peter Cushing and the magnifying glass.
Because it's just so subtle.
Yeah.
Richard, any other visual bits?
Look, everything with the cow is hysterical.
Yes.
I, when the cows are when they join the herd and you see the boots and you go, that is stupid. And then they turn the corner, the whole herd turns the corner, and then they come running back and the cow's got the boots on. I'm going, this is so silly and so perfect. And it's so enjoyable. I thought that was great. Most of the things that everybody else has mentioned are also really worthy. I love the parody of the Blue Lagoon scene. It's like, that's probably one of those things that people who aren't from that era are going to have no idea about. They're going to say, well, this is just kind of a weird thing,
Hmm.
and they're going to miss the reference to it. It's still
And the
funny
fact
even if you
that
don't know the reference, but
and the fact that Nigel continues to wear the same necklace throughout the
yes.
entire rest of the
Throughout the
movie.
whole movie. Yep. And the fact that he shows up at the headquarters of the French underground in that outfit.
Yes, wearing the same thing. It was the right, and that's another one of those performance things, the little smile that he gives when he's talking about what happened to him on the boat that rescued him. It was like,
His performance.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
also his reaction when Hillary being reunited with him after sharing that her tragic backstory where they were on an island for the whole thing is ridiculous. But when she pulls out a measuring tape and wraps it around his
Yes.
bicep and he just goes with it. And then in the cutscene, you just see her coming up with what appeared to be, because I checked, 10 inches on the measuring tape and just looking at him. And again, he doesn't break his monologue at that moment, but you do see him kind of acknowledge the little smile. The bits with the cow, yes, the boots, fantastic. The sprayed on polka dots, hilarious. Also, the bits when Duquois has to break in and he's cracking the safe, and it's still the cow's head, and they put the headphones up to the cow's ears, and then he takes a break with a cigarette, and it looks like the cow is smoking it. I would love to see how they did that because it's a real cow head in there while they're doing it. And the cow is just quite happily to be in the scene and giving a great performance.
I know it's really dumb, but I also love that the cow is in the credits. Her name is Daisy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Well, the cow does a lot of work. Those boots, man.
Yeah.
They must have had a
I,
trainer.
I also sat through the credits, which is, it's a little bit harder to do on streaming, but and I do love the fact that, they throw in the few credits gags like
Oh, yes.
I can't remember, but
Hey diddle diddle, and then the cat and the fiddle.
Oh no,
and Furry's a jolly good fellow.
I think my favorite actually. There's also a big gap, and then it just says this space for rent, which is
Yes.
great.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
But my favorite is when there's a really subtle one if you watch, and like it took me a minute to like, is this a joke? But it is, where like they talk about um the clapper loader and the focus puller, and then the focus loader and the clapper puller, and the fuller clapper and the clapper clapper and the flipper flapper and the haberdasher. Like
Yes.
perfect.
I noticed it too. You kind of have to watch all the credits on all their movies because they have fun stuff. One of them has a recipe for something that I forgot, but
It's
yeah.
cookies. It's a recipe
Yeah,
for cookies.
yes, see? Fantastic. So good. The other very dumb visual joke that I love is when the alarms get sounded after they've broken into the prison, rescued Dr. Flamand, and they're heading out. And you see the Germans mounting an attack and getting in, and the scene you've seen in every war movie where one soldier is waving on the cars to get them, let's go, everybody out, we're going to chase them down. And then the camera pulls back and they're just going in a circle.
Yep.
Fantastic. Things
I
like
think
that.
I think another one that was one that was like surprising for me and kind of caught me off guard and got, I enjoy this movie, but I will be honest, it only got like a couple actual laughs out of me, and one of them was from that escape scene, and one of the German guards fell off the roof, and then he shatters into like he's made out of ceramic.
That's interesting. I didn't even think to ask, is this movie I I just assumed everyone enjoyed it, but it's worth asking. In the realm of Zaz movies, is this near your top, near your middle, near your bottom?
This is at the
Thoughts on
top
that?
for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's at the top for me too.
I
I
love
mean,
I love Airplane and the Naked Gun movies, but this one is the most off-center premise, combining the weirdest genres together. I love Elvis movies and I love Casablanca, and and you get both of them throughout this film. And I don't know that people appreciate that it is a parody of genres also.
yeah.
It's not just, and who cares about how stupid the story is? It's
It's supposed
it's
to be.
it is so well, it's like a lot of things. It's so rich that you go, I'm just going to absorb what I can this time, because if I tried to absorb everything, I'm gonna get ill. I'll wait until the next time to pick up everything. Which is why people miss things. And
Mhm.
watching it a second, third, or 400th time, depending upon whether you're James or Matthew.
Yeah.
I will say this is not my top Zaz film because Airplane is my all-time favorite film.
Yeah.
But it's like how do you choose between this and The Naked Gun and or Police Squad, which I know a lot of people haven't actually watched Police Squad, but that show is great.
Yeah.
And I wish it was available on anything other than Blu-ray at this point.
It's not available anywhere?
You can find it on DVD still. I have an
Okay.
out-of-print DVD, but it's not on Blu-ray, I don't think.
I used to be able to see it on YouTube.
Probably is available on the high seas if you're willing to go sailing for it, for sure.
Okay. That's a good way to put it.
I meant it in a way that I could purchase and have on my shelf.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's either number 2 or number 3. I think that Airplane and this and The Naked Gun are basically perfect movies for me personally. So with Airplane at the top, and then these two are both number 2.
Yeah, along those lines. And this one, bearing in mind where it's set, but more Lloyd Bridges would have been helpful too.
Yeah, and for me, I think it's kind of middle to lower. I think that has a lot to do with how many times I've watched it, because I think for a lot of these types of movies, the more you watch them, the more you grow fondness for them, and the more you anticipate the jokes and appreciate the jokes. And so a lot of the other ones, like Airplane, Naked Gun, even though it's not Zaz, but it's in the same realm, UHF, that like those are kind of my top tier.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I feel like Hot Shots for me is definitely high on the list, and that one is again more in the orbit than a pure Zaz movie because it's only one of them, I think. But yeah,
Yeah, it's only one of the Zuckers, right? I can't remember off the top
I
of my
think
head.
so.
Definitely one of those Zuckers.
It's just a Z. It's not a full Zaz movie, just a Z, but in the orbit, yes. I'm trying to think if there are any other sequences we need to discuss at length. The bit of him attempting to break out of his prison cell, which at one point he does, but going through one vent, popping out of another, in another vent, popping up through the toilet. Then again, dumb visual jokes that really just it's that thing of where the joke is done, goes on too long, and then circles back around to be funny. That one in particular. And the picture of Cher on in his prison cell wall, which at the time he was dating Cher. So there you go.
Yes.
I mean,
Um,
we could. I just
the-
want to point out that when they fall off the bridge into the water and
Thank
end up
you.
in an underwater
Oh,
Old West
yes.
saloon fight,
And it finishes with the Bonanza theme.
yeah, finishes with him putting on a hat and walking through the swinging saloon doors to the Bonanza. Like perfect.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say perfect a lot in this episode. Sorry,
It's-
it's like
no.
no notes. It's so good.
absolutely fair.
That's definitely, a scene that I thought was extremely impressive. Like it didn't get a ton of laughs out of me, but it was enjoyable, and I thought it was extremely impressive and really enjoyed it.
It's another sequence that I had forgotten about, and then watching it again was like, oh my God, there's an entire saloon-style bar fight underwater after they fall off a moving vehicle into a river. It's all, and then there's extras at the bar that have to duck under a table. The guy's cowboy hat is floating above his head. Yeah, the behind the scenes on that would be really fun to watch.
And apparently, at least according to IMDb trivia, Val Kilmer got his scuba certification due to that scene.
I would imagine. I
would
mean,
have had to.
some of those sequences are fairly long and they're underwater. Obviously they have to cut between shots, but it was still pretty extended. Very impressive work for all involved. I also really like the shootout at the potato farm, which of course, yes, is this the potato farm? Yes, I am
Yes.
Albert Potato. That
I like the
joke,
fact that they have to shoot out break out every window in
Every
the building
window.
to shoot it at each
Well,
other.
Then the
And-
tic-tac-toe game.
Yes.
the tic-tac-toe gag, and when Chocolate Mousse picks up a cannon and then busts through an entire window instead of just a pane of glass. Perfect nonsense. And I had forgotten Deja Vu's line about we have to handle all things in a mature and adult fashion. And then he sneezes into his hands, freaks out, and jumps through a window.
I mean, in that same scene, is that scene? It's one of the other ones on the potato farm anyway, but if you watch Chocolate Mousse closely, he's loading a Tommy gun with a ramrod like it's a musket.
Oh
Yes.
yes, yes,
So
yes.
good.
Well, and that he almost always has his Tommy gun with him, including when they're parachuting. God, the parachuting sequence. And then the one scene where he doesn't have it and they're about to be attacked, he simply outstretches a hand and it's handed to him from the bushes.
Yep.
And then the whole conversation while they're parachuting, where they like turn away from
Yes.
each other and come back.
Yes.
And then it also like there's that repeated gag of there's a scene earlier where Hillary and Nick are talking and they like fall in love and it pans away like they're in front of a fireplace and it pans away to another fireplace, which is
Another
very
fireplace.
funny. Very
And then
funny
the
on its
fireplace
own.
is in the
And then there's a fireplace
parachuting down.
and the parachuting. It's so dumb. It's so good.
Yeah, that was the other one that got a big laugh out of me.
It's just, yes, it's so good and so dumb. I feel like that's the perfect way to put it.
It's pure non sequitur ofness. It's like a Marx Brothers movie, and in places, but without the boring songs.
The bit where they decide, okay, we're going to go ahead and put Nick in front of the firing squad. We're going to execute him. And then they're like, oh, no, we have to have him perform his concert so that we avoid an international incident. Quick, call off the firing squad. And so you see the phone ringing through as Nick is standing in front of the firing squad. And the phone is just ringing as a very old woman slowly uses her walker to go over to the phone. Again, absolutely dumb, but very funny.
Although I kind of wish, another IMDb trivia that I came across was that scene was actually cut down, and that was the original version of the scene was that the old woman would get to the phone, and then whenever she picked it up, she had missed the call, and so she walks away, and they do that 3 different times with her walking to the phone, picking it up, missing it, and then walking away, and then they call again, and then on the third time she finally picks it up.
See, I love it. Again, that's the joke is there, goes on too long, comes back around to be funny. It's
My
funny. It's interesting they cut that.
my version of the film is it's a big surprise, a Laserdisc version that I burned to a DVD so I could watch it on other equipment when I didn't have a Laserdisc player available. And it doesn't have any deleted scenes on it. You guys have any of those DVD or Blu-ray copies? Are there any deleted scenes included on any of those?
Yeah, yeah, and the group commentary is on mine
Oh, that would
uh,
be good.
with Zaz, the producers. Would have been nice to have had Kilmer on this.
Yeah. Did he, I haven't watched the Val documentary. Did he talk about this movie in that documentary at all?
Not very outside of it being basically his first film, not really.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like past this, there are some other comedies in his oeuvre. Are there any this blatant? I mean, there's others where he has a comedic role, aside from maybe Real Genius, but are there any others that are just pure comedy?
Well, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is almost pure comedy.
Almost.
Not quite, but I could
I
see
could
that.
not think of any others, and this made me wish again because he excelled at playing it straight. Kind of wish he had done a few more that would just.
Batman Forever.
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. All right.
I think he actually was trying to channel Adam West in that performance.
I mean, it's a good Batman movie. Hot take. It's a good Batman movie.
I don't mind that one. ...
There's an enthusiastic endorsement,
Yeah, it's
they'll put that on the box. Jeanette
fine.
Ward. I don't mind this one.
I don't mind this one.
This is better left unsaid.
This is it's watchable. It's an interesting question. Well, that's a whole separate podcast. Anyway, moving along. Is there anything else we haven't touched on? Anything we need? Yes, go ahead.
Can't believe I forgot this. He's the bad guy in MacGruber.
Oh, that's right.
He
Oh,
plays
that's right.
he plays Kunz. Dieter von Kunz.
That's right. See, now that counts.
And he's very funny in it.
Yeah.
And also
Yeah.
people have to keep talking about how they're gonna go smash some Kunz, which is
A quality joke.
yeah.
There was one
And-
thing that I noticed, which I was curious. I couldn't tell, and I didn't see anything about it in trivia, but I watched this on Pluto TV, and during the Nutcracker sequence, I noticed that there was a lot of shots that were like heavily zoomed in, and I was curious if that was something, if that was a product of the filmmaking, or if that was something that had somehow been edited later on.
Oh,
And was
so yeah. I own it on iTunes. I don't have a Blu-ray or anything, and there's no special features, unfortunately. But yeah, that scene is not zoomed in on the actual one.
So you're saying somebody on Pluto is probably playing around with making the movie even more egregiously silly?
well, I didn't think that there were. I got the impression that it wasn't zoomed in to focus on something. I got the impression that it was zoomed in to cut background details out for reasons that I couldn't fathom.
what's interesting is I also watched it on Pluto, and I assumed that scene would have been edited a little bit more. And where they zoomed in, I was like, I don't recall there be certainly what they've left in is not any. In the ballet sequence, the joke is that the male ballet dancers, often male ballet dancers having to wear dance belts, produces bulges, and is simply enhanced in this for comedy purposes. To the point where the female ballerinas can walk on them. But that wasn't edited out, that was there. So I can't imagine what they were trying to zoom around. But I did notice some weird editing in that sequence.
Mhm.
I don't know. Strange. Any other thoughts? I think that's everything I had on my list. Let me consult like I said, not a super in-depth discussion on this, just hey, this movie's real silly and real fun. I appreciate Omar Sharif, my goodness, like
Yes.
just in there. And I honestly, in terms of everyone else playing it very straight and very serious in order to make the comedy work, I feel like Omar Sharif was playing it a little more loose than he is in some other things.
Well, that opening sequence, I think, sets the tone for the film immediately when he's on the fight on the train and the one German guy stands up there and Omar Sharif kind of smirks to himself that the guy's going to get whacked by the bridge. And then it turns around that the guy whacks the bridge instead. And it's like, oh, I see where this is going, and that's the first 30 seconds of the movie, and you should be able to know what's going on from that. And Omar Sharif is in it very briefly at the beginning, and then he's got another scene later on. He has to play it a little silly because his second scene, I guess it's his third scene, where he is basically in the compacted car. I don't see how anybody plays that too seriously.
That's very true.
I remembered one other thing I wanted to point out, and that was the non sequitur, pointless Latin phrases that are used
God, yes.
as the priest is escorting Kilmer into the death chamber.
I wanted to end this with a prayer and have that be that.
It is, I caught the pig Latin, and then some of the other phrases are it's just listing every single Latin phrase everyone kind of is aware of.
Yeah, I was also personally curious about how much of the German was actually German. And again, like according to IMDb trivia, most of the German is actually Yiddish.
Yes.
I feel like that's kind of a trademark in a lot of Zayas movies is anytime something is supposed to be in a foreign language, it often is nonsense. If it's in that language, it's nonsense. If it's not in that language, it's some other language and nonsense. The one I always think about is in Hot Shots, where they go to the Native American encampment, and the Native Americans instead of speaking language are just naming Wisconsin cities. Which is a joke that is brilliant and plays great here. I don't know if anyone else gets it, but God, it's funny.
At one point in the priest's prayer, as he's leading Nick out of his cell, he goes into pig Latin And when you can't really tell when he's doing it, but when you translate it, it's "you're going to get fried in the chair."
Very subtle. That is just so good. I also enjoyed that the ending is fairly abrupt. Like
It is abrupt.
they successfully rescue Dr. Flamond. He's reunited with his daughter, and then they're like, "All right, Nick, we got to get you out of the country." And he's like, "Oh, I can't leave without you, Hillary." And she's like, "Well, I can't leave without my father." And he's like, "No, go ahead." And she's like, "All right." And then they leave, and that is it. That's the end.
Well, and then she hugs everyone goodbye, and the last person she hugs is the
I'm
Scarecrow.
going to miss you the most.
I'll miss you most of all, Scarecrow. Oh God, utterly ridiculous.
By the way, when I put the video together for this podcast, it's going to consist of 100 GIFs that include all of these jokes.
Of course. Any others? Any other? That's like I said, everything I had. Any other final thoughts on this movie? Any other bits that we should be considering again? The find him and kill him stamp again, right in the top. I don't know, 5 minutes of the movie when the soldier walks in, takes off his helmet, but the chin strap stays here. Hands the guy the report, which at the top says East Germany, better intimidation through manipulation or something like that. And then the spy has escaped, and so he searches around on his desk, picks up a stamp, stamps it down, and it just says find him and kill him.
Doesn't he select it from like a series of stamps too?
Yes.
You just gotta wonder what the other ones say. I mean,
yeah.
my problem with talking about this film, which to be fair, I don't have a problem talking about this film, but the problem with talking about this film is that it's very easy to fall into just naming all the bits because there's so many good bits.
It's honestly in a very Wisconsin way to fall into like the Chris Farley Show. Do you remember?
Oh yeah, you
remember the moment when that was awesome.
That was great.
That's what this show has been,
Yeah.
which is perfectly fine with me.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I think though that this one there's so many good background throwaway visual gags. And I just wanted to highlight also there's a moment where General Streck is sitting at his desk with his feet on the desk, and then he gets up and the feet stay there.
The feet stay there.
So good. So good.
Also Nick painting on the train as they're arriving in Germany, and he's like very carefully looking out the window, putting on the canvas, looking at the window, putting on and then when you pan to the canvas, it's just a blur.
Yep.
It's just things fantastic.
I mean, I also really love when the Germans they like have an altercation on the train, and then the Germans leave, and then he sits down and looks out the window, and as the train pulls away, but then it's the station pulling away.
The station that's pulling away. Yep.
With a guy who's running after it because he's late and grabbing his hat and his briefcase, and then later you see a tree taking off through the forest and a guy running after it because he's late with a briefcase and a hat.
Yeah. And then there's at one point someone receives a carrier pigeon, and the carrier pigeon has a little flight helmet on,
and a briefcase.
And a briefcase.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, how Nigel is. Sorry, spoiler alert. Nigel is revealed to be the traitor because his coat, which Hillary finds, is filled with doves in the pocket, or carrier pigeons.
Gosh.
And the little horse, and all of it. It's just.
Well, you know what? It's going to take at least 2 hours for them to remove the smiles from our faces after having talked about this movie.
That one. And I will admit that joke is more heavy-handed than the others and not one that I needed.
I mean,
Literally.
I think that the earlier part of it that's very heavy-handed is a little bit like, what is going on here? But then the joke a few minutes later
payoff.
when they talk about the smile on his face is perfect.
Yep. Yeah, that's fair. It does earn that punchline.
I also really like, I don't know why, but it's the lead into the song at the 50s pizza diner in Eastern Germany for some reason.
Der Pizza House.
Der Pizzahausen, where Nick Rivers is like, someone's recognized him. He goes, "No, I'm Mel Torme." And then Nigel goes on a long thing about how we know we have a traitor and blah 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 blah. And he's just, and how do we know he's not Mel Torme?
And then after he does his big song, Albert Potato goes, "This is not
No.
Mel Torme."
Yeah. Albert Potato. I
Some potato
routinely
food.
just like randomly think about Albert Potato and laugh at it. Like just in life. Like not just today because I watched it yesterday, but just like very generally. That's a thing that'll pop into my head. Just Albert Potato.
Albert Potato, and him answering the door. Yes, and he opens the door, and then when he opens the door, he's 4 feet shorter than the little window in which he first. Things like that, man. I just so many things. Like you have to read all the signs in the background, which are all
Yep.
hilarious. I wrote one down, but I'm not going to remember what it was now because there's so much written. I tried to write down all the visual gags. It was
we have-
the cheese, the pizza, in the background as they are having this discussion. The people in their pizza house get their pizza, and you see people lifting up slices, and the cheese is so stretchy that they are walking across the restaurant, and it's something you're not going to notice unless you're really looking at the background.
But
There's
it's like
always something.
there's a gag in the background when Nick and Hillary are at a park and there's a giant statue of a
Yes.
pigeon, and at one point a bunch of men land on it.
Oh God.
Well, we've gone on
So
so long
dumb.
now that we're not going to have time for Frank Sinatra.
That's right. Time permitting, and we run out of time. Yes, that concludes my, again, not really a discussion, just a chat fest about this movie and how much fun I find it.
It was going to be a callback cast. You just knew.
All right. Well, look.
That's what nostalgia is all about.
Yeah.
People.
Look, I'm not the first podcaster who chose a movie suggested by a woman online who turned out to be a member of the Lamb, only to have her schedule something else on recording day, who then showed up half an hour early and turned out to be a terrific host of a movie of the month. It all sounds like some bad movie, but it's not. It's this episode.
It's almost a shame that we're not recording videos so we could all do side eye to the camera at that moment.
That's right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I just did.
Well, thank you, Jeanette. And we've all appreciated talking about the movie, but especially, I think most of us appreciated rewatching the movie because it requires us to go through and have all of that joy one more time in our life.
We have
We're gonna-
smiles on our faces.
Yep.
Mhm.
We're going to take a quick break here to hear from a fellow M Podcasting Network show, and then we're back for a quick exit question that Jeanette's come up with.
Hey, Nick.
Hey, Bubbawheat.
Hey, did you know the song Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel? He was actually talking about his penis.
What? The whole time?
Yeah, it's, he was talking about having sex. And did you know that the song Blinding Lights by The Weeknd was actually about driving under the influence?
Under the influence? I figured driving because of the lights, but under the influence as well?
And did you know that Weapon of Choice was actually about Dune?
No. Now I know you're lying.
Could be. And at Lyrical Innuendo, we actually discuss these songs and more and decide if they are really about sex, drugs, or if they're just rock and roll. And you can find the newest episodes on Spotify and everything else at rabbitholepodcasts.com.
We're back.
I recommend that podcast to every single one of my friends and everybody I know in Alcoholics Anonymous.
Well, James is finishing off his drink. We're going to get to the next part of the show, which is the
happy hour somewhere.
That's it. It's the exit question of the week, and Jeanette came up with something interesting based on the subject matter of today's movie of the month. Go ahead, Jeanette. Remind us what your exit question is.
Yeah, I like to, try and stay on theme. So they have released kind of the preliminary trailer for the new Naked Gun remake / reboot, starring not Leslie Nielsen, starring Liam Neeson as Frank.
Same initials.
Right, exactly. Frank Drebin Jr., I guess. The teaser trailer kind of shows him standing before a picture of Leslie Nielsen and saying, "I'm trying to make you proud, Dad." And then it goes down a line of other various people be in front of photos of other cops from the original. And you get to the kid who is clearly going to be O.J. Simpson's son looking up and then shaking his head and walking away. Again, a great visual gag. So my question, now that this is already done and ready to go, first of all, do we need a Naked Gun remake
Yeah.
/ reboot? Secondly,
Yes.
now that we
Obviously,
have
yes.
it, is Liam Neeson good casting, or who would you have cast instead? Even if you're happy with Liam Neeson, who would you have cast instead?
All right, I'm going to start first because I don't want anybody to steal my choices.
There you
And
go.
my choices end up not being necessary because they've already made this movie. All right. I think they went a little old with Liam Neeson as the son. I think it should have been Ryan Gosling. And if you weren't going to use Ryan Gosling, you're going to use Russell Crowe. And the problem is that they already did this movie with the detectives who were so incompetent, but they managed to successfully solve the crime with the nice guys.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't hate the idea of Ryan Gosling. I feel like you need someone who can play it so straight that they're clearly not in a comedy. And Ryan Gosling is capable of that. That's an interesting choice.
I mean, he's done that in the Barbie movie,
Mhm.
and he has a real like old school like vaudeville slapstick vibe about him in The Nice Guys that would very much work. Yes. He's a Canadian national treasure.
That's right.
True story.
Aren't they all?
And yes, I think we'd need a new version of the Naked Gun just because we haven't had one for 35 years. And, why would we want to live our lives without this there? Now,
True.
of course, that assumes that it works. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to hate it and resent the fact that they even thought of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
fair. James?
Still going through my actor Rolodex for who would be better than Leslie Nielsen. Although Leslie Nielsen, when he is being comically straight, is hilarious.
Liam Neeson? Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Check back with me. I'm still scrolling.
Bubbawheat?
Scrolling.
Yeah, as soon as he was announced as the new Frank Drebin, I thought that was a great choice. And I'm pretty sure I can tell that all of us here know that Leslie Nielsen was originally a dramatic actor, and it wasn't until Police Squad and Airplane and all that stuff that he, transitioned into comedy. And then as he continued on that, he became more and more slapsticky and silly. And I think that Liam Neeson is kind of, the perfect predecessor for Leslie Nielsen, because he is known for being a dramatic actor, and he has done a couple, fantastic, playing the straight man straight, but playing it for comedy, like his scene in Extras and in I think Ted 2. But both of those are absolutely hilarious scenes, and he plays them both completely straight.
And the Key and Peele sketch that he did also. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a candidate.
Oh, okay.
Jason Statham.
Oh, honestly, I don't hate that. His work in Spy and then watching the
Yes.
outtakes of Paul Feig direct him. Yeah, I'd be in on that. Matthew,
would
any
really work.
other suggestions?
So, first of all, yes, we obviously need more Naked Gun. That's just a universal truth, I feel. I actually think that Liam Neeson is great casting. He might be a little old, but I'm sort of fine with it. I think he does such a good job at playing funny in the same straight funny in the same way that Neeson did that I think it'll probably work well. Honestly, my main feedback is I'm not really sold on Paul Walter Hauser as Ed Hawkins Jr.
Mm.
in those films, but I don't know who I would replace him with at this point. But I'm perfectly willing at this point to just like wait and see, because I love this franchise a lot, even though, I think the first one is great and the third one's kind of fine. So I hope that it's more like the first one than the third one. That's my main hope here.
I think that's fair. The advantage that we have is that there's so much going on in the background. When they're done well, then honestly, as long as the people in the front are just playing their roles okay, the background should be entertaining enough that we don't have to worry about it.
I just don't want it to turn out like Airplane 2. you know?
Where it's
Well,
just a tired retread. Yeah. I think that the Kiva Schaffer, the Lonely Island guys in general are probably a little better than that. I would hope.
I think if you had to give it to anyone, the Lonely Island guys are the right choice.
Yeah, I mean, there was an attempted tried to do this a few years ago with Ed Helms as Frank Drebin and with Thomas Lennon as one of the writers. And I think that was
That's a
probably could have been a good choice as well, but I think that the Lonely Island guys are kind of a perfect fit.
I
Uh,
would have put Thomas Lennon in front of the camera and I would not have used Ed Helm, but that's interesting as well.
I mean, I'm sure he was going to be in the movie too, but he was going to be the him and Ben Garant were going to
Hmm.
be the screenwriters.
That makes sense. I think Liam Neeson is a good choice. I think that he excels at comedy where he's not playing it as a comedy, and I think that's what this needs. Yes, Leslie Nielsen was great. Can I still get, I want a Forbidden Planet, a modern Forbidden Planet with today's special effects. Can I please get that movie? Um, yeah, I think Liam Neeson's a good choice. I think John Slattery, my brother brought that up. I was like, that's not a bad option. I think John Hamm was a possibility too. Um, I don't know. I think Jamie Foxx would be capable of it as well. So it's interesting. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if any of you all watched any of Angie Tribeca, but I think that was the best,
Oh yeah.
most recent version we saw with Rashida Jones, who was great in that.
Yeah, that show was her whole deal too, right? She
Yep,
created and co-wrote
yep.
it. Yeah.
Top down, which she was fantastic in that. It's along the same lines. There's a scene where they're interviewing a suspect and then they leave and say, "Thank you for your time." And they say that because they have a Time magazine in their hands as they're leaving. That kind of humor.
Okay, maybe I do need to watch this show.
Yes, it's worth checking out. It's worth checking out. So yeah. All in all, I guess we're all looking forward to the remake
We'll see
slash
it.
reboot. Yeah.
The Legacy sequel, I think, is the
Is that the new phrase?
I think
Yes,
the
there you go. Yeah, it's
yeah.
legacy sequel. That's the term.
Okay.
Is this an August release?
Is it?
I don't know.
August 1st.
Okay.
All right, so just in time for the dog days, we get a movie that should be entertaining, and if it isn't, then it fits with the dog days. All right, I'm just a little bit confused as to why, the name Hillary doesn't appear in the show-stopping sequence of Wicked, because, her name defies gravity. And
Oh boy.
Oh,
Oh boy.
boy.
That was
Wow.
a long way to go, and I'll
Are-
allow it.
Are you writing the new gun?
I'll allow it.
Naked Gun movie?
This is why I am not the screenwriter of the
No,
reboot
that
of
is why
Naked
you
Gun.
should be the screenwriter, my friend.
So I want to thank everybody for showing up this week. And the first way I want to thank them is by giving them a chance to promote whatever it is that they would like us to turn our eyes and ears to. So James, how about you first? You got something new this week that you'd like us to see?
I got Bupkis, Richard.
Bupkis is a great movie. I think it would be really good for you to talk about it a little bit more extensively, but not today. Thank you for
Yes.
including it. Blogging by Cinemalite. That's James Wilson's site. So just go there and
There'll
you'll find
actually be
something.
a post today, so
Yes. Okay.
surprise you.
And Matthew, how about you? You got something special?
I've got a number of reviews recently published, and the easiest way to find them all for me personally is to go to my personal portfolio, which is stretched.ca, and I'm going to take the opportunity to once again plug the Cascadia Film and Television Critics Association, the critics association that I helped co-found 2 years ago. We have over 20 members, and we have a lot of great writing and podcasting, and you can find all that at cascadiacritics.com.
Nice.
Bubbawheat, you got something that everybody could look for?
Yeah, I'm still doing probably way too many podcasts, but on my Time Loop podcast, it's Time to Rewind. I am winding down in my British sci-fi TV season, and I should be finishing up the last couple episodes on my, way too deep dive on the kind of Groundhog Day-esque episode of Doctor Who, the Eve of the Daleks special, which I covered in 9 parts, one for each loop. And then after that, I'm going to be moving on to a few other kind of lesser known Doctor Who spin-offs and other British sci-fi TV shows like Sapphire and Steel and the Sarah Jane Adventures and K9 and the Lazarus Project. And then my other podcast, which is still fairly new, is called Real Crime Scenes, and that's REEL. And that's been a lot of fun, where each episode kind of comes out in 2 parts. And the first part is like a true crime style narrative where I take the plot and I change a few details and change the names and take this movie plot and turn it into a true crime style podcast narrative. And then I don't reveal which film inspired that episode until 2 weeks later, where the reveal and discussion comes out, where it's a bit more of a movie style podcast where me and a guest discuss that movie and, I reveal the title. And for all the first parts, I do, even ones that have the answers out there, I appreciate if people chime in with their guesses and as they're listening to let me know if they figure it out ahead of time or not.
I keep promising myself I'm going to listen to more of these podcasts, and every time you talk about that one, I think, why have I not made that part of my life? Damn it. Jeanette,
Because you're editing our podcast.
Right.
That's why.
that's part of it. That's part of it. And Jeanette, have you got something that you would like us to see, or is it as usual just keeping up with the world?
I'm trying to keep up. Life is out here lifing. I have kind of gone back and retooled my blog, so I'm trying to keep up with that a little bit better. So that's over at jwardadventures.blogspot.com. And then I tend to just post random short reviews on my Instagram and whatnot. Both Thunderbolts and Sinners were great. Go see those. And if you're not watching Andor, good Lord, be watching Andor.
Well, there are a couple of endorsements there.
As someone who's already seen all of Andor, the most interesting thing about it is seeing everyone speculating and trying to decide whether it's more interesting who's getting it right and who's getting it wrong. But yeah, watch Andor. That show is great.
That will always be a question everybody has, because everybody's version of Star Wars is different.
All right. Well, Danger, Will Robinson. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. We're crossing up a series here.
Ooh,
Wrong one. Wrong
no,
one.
you meant make it so.
That's it. That's exactly. Make it so. Well, I'm glad that we made it so today, because this was a lot of fun. And even if we didn't do a deep dive into the critical analysis component of the podcast discussions, we had way too much fun talking about all the things that tickled our funny bones here in this particular movie. And I want to thank Jeanette for championing the film and getting us to talk about it. If you have another Val Kilmer film in the future that you want to include in the poll, please be sure to let me know, because I'm happy to do that. All right, everybody. I want to thank you all for joining us this week. We'll be back again soon. And meanwhile, I just want to let you know that die Sauerkraut is in mein Lederhosen. Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to the Lambcast. If you have an idea for a show or would like to join us on the Lambcast, contact us at largeassmovieblogs.com.
Find us on Facebook, just search for Lambcast, or on X, formerly Twitter, at Lambcast. And you can find us on YouTube as well. The Lamb site can be found at largeassmovieblogs.com. We'd also love it if you would leave a review on iTunes.
Ha 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 ha